Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain TXP and today is the 26th of June 2023 and the global cryptocurrency market, guys, is definitely looking a lot better than since the last few months. Bitcoin in particular did cross the $30,000 mark, and at one point of time, guys, it was on the verge of crossing the $31,000 mark. Now, unfortunately, because of the weekend, the price of Bitcoin has definitely fallen down marginally, but it is still well above the $30,000 mark. But the biggest gainer, guys, since the last few weeks is Bitcoin Cash and Pepe Coin as well. And guys, there is this massive news circulating in the cryptocurrency world, and that is regarding leveraged Bitcoin ETF. So we'll definitely go ahead and explain what a Bitcoin leveraged ETF is. Now mind you guys, this is not a spot Bitcoin ETF. And a few years ago, there was also Bitcoin Futures ETF. So it's really critical to understand the difference between a Bitcoin leveraged ETF, Bitcoin spot ETF, and Bitcoin Futures ETF. And one thing which the industry is currently waiting for is a Bitcoin spot ETF, which hopefully will be approved by BlackRock spot ETF. So we'll definitely go ahead and look at that. Now guys, there's this massive news from the financial world, and that is by JP Morgan. And they were into JP Coin. Now mind you guys, JP Coin has nothing to do with blockchain technology. It is essentially a software, but the news that is circulating right now is that the project is live in Europe as well. So we'll very briefly talk about what JP Morgan's JP Coin is, and we'll compare it to why it is a software and not an open blockchain. And guys, since last quarter of 2022, there is massive hype about artificial intelligence, and looks like South Korea is trying to be an early adopter in the artificial intelligence industry as well. And the news is that a South Korean mobile tech company is investing $5.3 billion in artificial intelligence over a period of time. So definitely positive news. So quite a lot to cover, guys, in today's episode. And like we do in every Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, we're going to be discussing two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. And the first news is about Dubai's Wara, and they have published clarification and further information on fees. So what I'd really urge you to do is, guys, make sure you look at information from the first source and go to Dubai Wara's website and read through the clarification and further information on fees. And the second news is all the way from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia's government is keen on using artificial intelligence, and they are harnessing artificial intelligence system to facilitate pilgrims entering procedures into Saudi Arabia to perform their Hajj. So definitely an absolutely useful case. So quite a lot to cover, guys, in today's episode. So let's kick start with it right away. Welcome to the Crypto and Coffee at 8, the daily podcast that keeps you up to date on all latest developments in the world of cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and NFTs. Join us Monday to Friday as you kick off your day with a cup of coffee and a deep dive into the exciting and rapidly evolving world of digital assets. We'll cover the latest news and trends in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space, as well as delve into the growing world of NFTs or non-fungible tokens and metaverse. Plus, we'll keep you updated on the latest developments from Dubai, UAE and the wider Middle East region. Whether you're a seasoned crypto enthusiast or just getting started, Crypto and Coffee at 8 has something for you. Our expert host will provide insight and analysis on the most important topics in the industry and help you stay up to date on the latest developments. We'll bring you interviews with leading figures in the crypto and blockchain space and explore the ways in which these technologies are changing the world around us, from the impact on traditional financial systems to the potential for revolutionizing industries and transforming societies. We'll cover it all on Crypto and Coffee at 8. So tune in and join us for a daily dose of Crypto and Coffee at 8, and let's stay ahead of the curve together. We'll start your day off right with the most important news and insights from the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain and the metaverse, and help you navigate this exciting and rapidly evolving landscape. In Crypto and Coffee at 8, the daily podcast covers the latest developments in the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain and the metaverse. We'll also bring you updates on the latest news from Dubai, UAE and wider Middle East region. This also includes a range of topics such as developments in the local and blockchain industry, including new projects and initiatives, regulatory updates, and policies related to cryptocurrency and blockchain in the region, local and regional events and conferences focused on crypto and blockchain, interviews with leading figures in Dubai, UAE and Middle East crypto and blockchain community, coverage of any significant news or events related to cryptocurrency and blockchain in the region. By covering these local and regional developments, in addition to the wider world of cryptocurrency and blockchain, Crypto and Coffee at 8 aims to provide a comprehensive overview of the industry and its impact on the Dubai, UAE and Middle East region. Now before we kickstart today's episode, I have an important message, so check this out. Shalhoub Group, a luxury retailer and distributor which is headquartered in Dubai, are getting into the NFT game. And here's the deal, guys. They are not just getting into the NFT and metaverse space, they are going to be shaping the NFT, metaverse, and Web 3.0 space, which I believe is excellent not just for Dubai and UAE, but also for the global cryptocurrency community as well. And guys, Shalhoub Group's Web 3.0 sneaker brand called Soulmates revealed their first NFT collection on the 12th of April. Now what is really interesting is that it's called as Soulmates, so it's spelled as S for sugar, O for orange, L for Larry. Now instead of E, they have replaced it with Web3, and it is the number 3, mates.xyz. And guys, listen, Shalhoub Group has over half a century's worth of experience in luxury goods, and them getting into the NFT space is a massive deal. Now if you're a sneakerhead, you definitely need to check out soulmates.xyz. And once again, guys, the number is 3 instead of an E. It has all the information, and in the show notes below, you'll get all the information. And listen, guys, if you want to be an early adopter, you can also pre-mint it at www.dreamin.xyz/soulmates. So definitely check it out. And they have a Discord community as well. And guys, Nick, who is the head of corporate innovation at Shalhoub Group and also the co-founder of Soulmates, has a WhatsApp group where he constantly provides updates in the area of NFTs, Metaverse, and Web 3.0. So guys, check out soulmates.xyz and be part of the Soulmates OG NFT that is definitely going to shape the industry. Next, Startup OI is global one tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs, and these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen, guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform and search for Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast. And finally, guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now, guys, since we've taken care of that, let's kickstart by looking at the global cryptocurrency market. Now, ever since there is news circulating that BlackRock is getting into the spot Bitcoin ETF, the prices of Bitcoin definitely pumped up, and as of today, it is at $30,443. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, the prices were definitely on the verge of increasing because along with BlackRock ETF, other companies like Valkyrie, they also went ahead and approached the SEC and are hoping that a spot Bitcoin ETF will be approved. Now, because of all this news, guys, the global cryptocurrency market is at $1.18 trillion. Now, since the last 24 hours, it is marginally down by 0.12%. The mind guys, the total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours is still ridiculously low at $32.26 billion. But if you're considering what is going on in the cryptocurrency world and in the financial world, to be honest, it isn't that bad. Now, since the last 24 hours, it is down by 5.41%. The total volume on DeFi guys is definitely looking good, and this might just be the very few times where if you actually look at the volumes for DeFi and stablecoins, I do have to say it is definitely much better than, let's say, the previous weeks or months in 2024. Now, the volume in DeFi is currently at $3.87 billion, and it is accounting for 12.02% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume, and the total value locked guys is still well below the $50 billion mark, and it is currently only at $44.91 billion. And what is really interesting to note, guys, if you actually look at the volume of DeFi is only at $1.59 billion, and this number definitely has to change. You're ideally looking at $16 to $20 billion. Now, really, I'm hoping, guys, in the second half of this year, most likely by July onwards, the number on DeFi definitely should pick up pace. The Lido is still dominating so far as DeFi protocol's total value locked is concerned, and $14.13 billion is locked in its protocol. Now let's quickly run through the 24-hour volume of DeFi protocol, guys, because Uniswap is number 1, and so far as the 24-hour volume is concerned, it is $667.29 million. Now mind you guys, I'm looking at these numbers on the early hours in Dubai, and technically it is still late Sunday in most part of the Western countries. Now keeping all these consideration, the volume definitely does look much better than, let's say, the previous Sundays. The number second so far as the volume is concerned is PancakeSwap, and it is at $237.63 million, followed by Balancer at $124.87 million. Core Finance is number 4th, and its 24-hour trading volume is $102.78 million, and finally Dodo Finance guys at $45.72 million. Now listen guys, if you're someone who is using Core Finance and, let's say, Dodo or Balancer on a daily basis, please mention them in the comments below in terms of what your user experience is. Is it something that an average person on the streets could actually go and start using it, or do you need to be a nerd or a tech geek in order to use Balancer, Core Finance and Dodo Finance? Mention them guys in the comments below. Now let's quickly look at the volume of stablecoins. Now what I'm really liking regarding the volume of stablecoins guys is that the volume is low, and for the very first time, to be honest, it is accounting for a lesser percentage of the total cryptocurrency market volume. The volume is $28.61 billion, and in comparison to previous history, the volume of stablecoins is only accounting for 88.68% of the total crypto market volume. What this essentially means is people are using a lot of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin or Ethereum, so that, to be honest, definitely looks good. Now what I'm going to be doing guys, I'm going to be comparing the market cap of stablecoins with its, let's say, 24-hour trading volume, because if you look, Tether USDT is clearly an outlier, and to be honest, quite notorious. Its market cap is $83.20 billion, but if you look at its 24-hour trading volume, it is only at $21.4 billion. But if you were to compare it, let's say, to the volume of all stablecoins, out of $28.61 billion, Tether USDT is accounting for a majority of the chunk. Now the number second so far as market cap is concerned is Circle USDC, and it's $28.46 billion. But if you look at the 24-hour trading volume guys, it is less than 1/10 of its market cap. It is at $2.78 billion. Now surprisingly guys, the number third is not Binance BUSD, rather it is MakerDAO's DAI. So it looks like a distributed or decentralized stablecoin has definitely overtaken a centralized stablecoin issuer. Definitely beautiful stuff. Now the number third is MakerDAO, and its market cap for DAI is $4.2 billion, whereas Binance BUSD guys, if you look at it, the 24-hour trading volume is number third at $2.21 billion, and Binance BUSD's market cap guys, as you know, is on a downturn, and I wouldn't be surprised if the market cap of Binance BUSD goes well below the $4 billion in the next coming days. Now guys, let's very quickly run through the market cap, 24-hour trading volume and dominance between Bitcoin and Ethereum, and after that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing the market cap of privacy coins. Now the market cap of Bitcoin is $590 billion, whereas to be honest guys, Ethereum's market cap is not looking good at all. It is only at $227 billion. So it looks like guys, the majority of the chunk or positive movements has definitely happened in the world of Bitcoin. Now could it be possible because of ordinal inscriptions of Bitcoin? It is definitely taking a lot of momentum from Ethereum. So Bitcoin maximalist will definitely be lacking this. Now, so far as the 24-hour trading volume is concerned, Bitcoin's 24-hour trading volume is $12.6 billion, whereas Ethereum is $6.8 billion. The dominance of Bitcoin is definitely picking up pace as well. It is at 49.85%, whereas Ethereum is 19.20%. And guys, next one I'm going to be looking at is privacy coins. And after that, guys, this week what I'm going to be doing is I'll go ahead and give in-depth explanation on cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse this entire week. So in today's episode, we will look at what Decentraland is, the history, the price history, the team, the future plans, and quite a lot more. In tomorrow's episode, we will look at the sandbox, and the day after we'll look at ApeCoin, or finally on the fourth day we might look at some other protocol. Now if you do have any suggestions, mention them in the comments below. Now before we get into that, let's quickly look at the market cap of privacy coins, because number one is Monero, and Monero, guys, is clearly an outlier, and its market cap is $2.98 billion, followed by Mask Network at $297.5 million, and Zcash at number third at $254 million. And look, guys, we talk so much about privacy coins, we talk so much about self-sovereign identity. Unfortunately, the fact is that when it comes to privacy coins, people are just not using it, because if people were so concerned about privacy, the privacy coin volumes, guys, should have been 20 times or 30 times higher than what it is. So this is what I think when it comes to privacy coins, and when it comes to privacy or decentralization or distributed, I would like to call it, a lot of the startups and CEOs or startups are just using it as a tool in order to get funding from venture capitalists, in order to get funding from banks and other financial institutions. These are unfortunately my honest thoughts, because if you look at the usage of it, guys, the usage is ridiculously low. Compare the market cap of Monero at $2.98 billion, let's say to the USDT, it is not even close, even 10 times higher than what it is. So definitely not ideal. Now guys, in today's episode, I'm very briefly going to run through what Decentraland is, and its ticker symbol is MANA. Now if you go through it via CoinMarketCap, it is currently ranked number 58, and if you look at the price, guys, it is down to 0.38 cents. Now mind you, guys, earlier in the year in January, when the global cryptocurrency market definitely had a minor pump, Decentraland was a protocol that did get benefited the most. As a matter of fact, the price of MANA did actually shoot up by well over 180%, and I very specifically remember the price of MANA at that point of time was hovering around the 84 cents mark. Unfortunately, the price has fallen down, and it is currently at 0.38 cents. Now let me very briefly go ahead and explain what Decentraland MANA is. And Decentraland MANA, guys, defined itself as a virtual reality platform powered by Ethereum blockchain, and it allows users to create experiences and monetize content and its application. Now listen, guys, few weeks ago in my Metaverse Everything podcast, I did actually look at the 24-hour volume for decentralized MANA, and I'm literally talking about the dApps or decentralized apps that are working on Decentraland, and you would be surprised or rather shocked to know that the 24-hour volume was only $534, not $534,000, only $534. Imagine a protocol which is valued well over $1 billion, guys, and the 24-hour volume where people are exchanging or buying goods was only $534. Absolutely horrendous. Now going back to some information regarding Decentraland MANA, it is a virtual world where users can purchase plots of lands, and they can later navigate, build upon, and monetize as well. And Decentraland, guys, was launched following a $24 million ICO or initial coin offering that was conducted in 2017, and the virtual world launched its closed beta in 2019 and was open to the public. And guys, since February of 2020, users have created a wide range of experiences and the parcels of land, including interactive games, sprawling 3D scenes, and a variety of other interactive experiences. So Decentraland, guys, uses two tokens. One is MANA and land, and MANA, guys, is an ERC20 token that must be burned in order to acquire non-fungible tokens, that is ERC721 land tokens. And MANA tokens, guys, can be used to pay for a range of avatars, wearables, names, and more on the decentralized marketplace. And as we know, guys, Decentraland or MANA is a decentralized virtual platform with software based on the Ethereum blockchain where users create, test, and monetize their content. So essentially, in short, guys, users buy virtual plots of lands and NFTs with MANA tokens on the decentralized platform. Here is where it gets interesting, guys. Progress in the game depends on any players themselves, their efforts, and the imaginations. and the digital platform is completely owned by its users. And within the decentralized metaverse, participants can explore the virtual world, purchase plots of lands that can be monetized, create work of arts, own NFTs, and take part in a decentralized autonomous organization on the platform Decentraland DAO. Due to the DAO community influences the development vector of the project. Now, in addition, guys, users also have access to interactive application, involved payments, and peer-to-peer communication. The 3D world resonates with many participants as decentralized as many applications, both entertainment for gamers and business for investors. Now, one thing you need to understand, guys, that there are two types of tokens, that is mana and land, and they govern operations in Decentraland. They also allow users to interact with the platform, and mana is the official currency of Decentraland. It is an ERC20 standard token that powers the Decentraland platform, and with mana, guys, users can purchase plots of lands as well as pay for in-game items and services, and mana gives its holders the right to vote in Decentraland DAO, and mana, guys, can be purchased on the cryptocurrency exchange or by selling collectibles on Decentraland marketplace, and the owner of the tokens converts to wrapped mana or W mana and then commits them to DAO, and 1 W mana or wrapped mana equals to 1 vote, and mana, guys, can be exchanged for fiat currencies and other digital assets. And so far as land is concerned, it is an NFT based on Ethereum blockchain, and it is used to track ownership of land prices such as digital real estate. And like mana, guys, land is part of protocol and confers voting rights. But one thing to remember, guys, land does not need to be fixed in the DAO, and one land is equal to 2,000 votes and quite a lot of other. Now let me try to give some bits and pieces of more information regarding this, guys, because when you talk about metaverse, the entire world talks about Decentraland or sandbox, and unfortunately, guys, the project is heading towards a failure. Now, so far as Decentraland is concerned, players choose what they can do with their land, and owners what they can do is they store their tokens in crypto wallets and buy necessities with mana tokens of the Decentraland marketplace. Moreover, guys, on the marketplace, participants can manage or exchange land tokens, which are essentially priced in mana, and holders use the marketplace to transact or transfer in-game items, and all transactions are conducted, regulated, and registered via the Ethereum blockchain. And Decentraland, guys, combines online gaming space and blockchain technology. All control over the rule is given to the players and token holders, vote on in-game and organizational policies, and the original goal was to form a decentralized virtual reality. But in practice, guys, Decentraland has turned more into an NFT marketplace, and a special role in Decentraland is assigned to NFTs such as collectibles, virtual equipment, and real estate land. However, for new players who want to join the universe and seize NFTs, the entry barriers right now is extremely high, and the Decentraland protocol, guys, is being built on 3 levels using Ethereum smart contracts. On the consensus layer, where the ownership of land is tracked and managed, the land content layer that displays the content of the Decentraland virtual world, and finally, guys, on the real-time layer, where participants interact with each other. And guys, the platform was co-founded by 2 blockchain experts, Ari Mirich and Estenbo Ordano, in 2014. Officially, it was launched a year later and became available only in February 2020, gradually turning from a 2D experiment into full-fledged 3D. And guys, to sum it up, Decentraland is a decentralized gaming and 3D virtual reality platform where players own lands and create limitlessly, and decentralized autonomous organization or distributed autonomous organization or DAO software is at the core, and the governance is in the hands of the community. And through the native token mana, players participate in any proposals for managing and improving the ecosystem, the auction system, and the in-game policy. And this is the reason why, guys, if you look at the user experience, it is absolutely horrendous. And if you look at what Apple has launched, the Apple Vision Pro is 100 times much better, let's say, to decentralized mana. And if you were to actually use decentralized mana, guys, it does actually feel that the user experience is going back to 1980s. Whereas Apple's Vision Pro or Meta Quest 3 does look like a futuristic technology, and that, guys, is what will drive mainstream adoption of Metaverse, because I've said this several times in my Metaverse Everything podcast. In order for people to switch from current existing systems to new ones, the user experience has to be 10 times better, or people are just not going to switch. And that's one of the reasons why, guys, the prices of Decentraland on mana is definitely been falling down. Now, guys, let's discuss the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin. And the price right now is $30,443, and since the last 24 hours, it is down by 0.60%, and since the last 7 days, it is up by 14.14%. And guys, there is this massive news about Bitcoin leveraged ETF, which will be going live on the 27th of this month, that is by Tuesday. Now, could it be possible that we might see fluctuation in the price, let's say a day before, that is the 26th? Most likely, I do think so, but it's going to be really interesting to see how the price reacts when the Bitcoin leverage ETF does go live, and maybe after a few hours, as and when mainstream picks up the news and they tend to give their own narrative. Now, unfortunately, the price of Ethereum hasn't moved much, and it is currently at $1,895. Since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 0.43%. Since the last 7 days, though, it is up by 9.11%. Binance BNB Coin, guys, is at $238. Since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 0.55%. Since the last 7 days, though, it is down by 3.33%. Now, guys, a massive news that is circulating, not just in the cryptocurrency world, but also in the finance world, is a Bitcoin leveraged ETF, and that will be going live on the 27th of June. In volatility shares, 2x Bitcoin Strategy ETF, also called as BITX, is scheduled to launch on Chicago Board Options, also called as CBOE, and BZX exchange on Tuesday, and most likely, guys, this thing might go live at 8 p.m. I'm really not sure. Now, what happened is that last Friday, that is on the 23rd, the Security Exchange Commission approved the first leveraged Bitcoin futures exchange traded fund, or also called as Bitcoin leveraged ETF. So what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, if you're someone who's working in, let's say, the trading game, or if you're actively involved in leverage trading, what I'd really recommend you to do is read through the official filings. Now, granted, the filing is ridiculously long. What you can do is you can take bits and pieces, put it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to explain it. Because listen, guys, you need to understand that there is a difference between Bitcoin spot ETF, Bitcoin futures ETF, and Bitcoin leveraged ETF. But what has been approved is the Bitcoin leveraged ETF, and Decrypt has actually mentioned that the BITX fund will be a leveraged Bitcoin ETF. And what it essentially means is that a leveraged funds will use debt or financial derivatives in this case, and Bitcoin futures as leverage to amplify the returns of a benchmark index. And that leverage, guys, can mean short-term gain for investors, but it could also lead to big losses. So let me try to very briefly go ahead and explain what a Bitcoin leverage ETF is. Because the 2x Bitcoin Strategy ETF is a fund that aims to give investors double the daily return of the S&P CME Bitcoin Futures Daily Roll Index. Now, instead of directly investing in Bitcoin, guys, it focuses on Bitcoin futures contract. However, it's important to note that the fund's return over longer periods can be different from double the index's return, and the fund carries more risks compared to other funds and is not suitable for all investors. It should be used by knowledgeable investors who understand the risks of seeking daily leverage results. Active monitoring of the investment is important because there is a very high possibility of losing the entire investment in just a matter of 24 hours. And guys, the fund plans to achieve double exposure to the index by investing in a subsidiary, but will have to reduce this exposure at the end of each fiscal quarter for tax purposes. And during these times, guys, the fund may not achieve its goal and may have lower returns than double the index's performance. Now, let me briefly go ahead and explain the key difference between Bitcoin Leverage ETF, Bitcoin Futures ETF, and Bitcoin Spot ETF. The one thing to remember, guys, is what we are waiting for is a Bitcoin Spot ETF, and a Bitcoin Spot ETF would invest directly in the digital currency itself. So let me try to break it down what a Bitcoin leveraged ETF is, because the Bitcoin leveraged ETF, guys, is an exchange-traded fund that aims to provide leverage exposure to the price movement of Bitcoins. It means that the ETF uses financial instruments, let's say for example derivatives or borrowing, to amplify the returns, that is both the positives and the negatives or gains or losses for Bitcoin. For example, guys, a 2x leveraged Bitcoin ETF seeks to provide returns that are twice the daily performance of Bitcoin, and leveraged Bitcoin ETFs are designed for short-term trading and are typically reset daily, which means that performance may deviate from the expected multiple over periods longer than a day. Now let's look at what Bitcoin Futures ETF is. A Bitcoin Futures ETF, guys, is an exchange-traded fund that invests in Bitcoin future contracts rather than the underlying cryptocurrency itself, and Bitcoin future contracts are agreements to buy or sell Bitcoin at a predetermined price on a specified future date, and the ETF invests in these contracts, which are traded on regulated future exchanges, and the value for the ETF is derived from the performance of Bitcoin future contracts it holds. Now guys, let's look at the main one, that is the Bitcoin Spot ETF. And one thing to remember, guys, that the SEC in US has still not approved a Bitcoin Spot ETF. And could BlackRock Spot ETF be the first one? And if that thing happens, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if the price of Bitcoin does actually pump up to the moon. Now, a Bitcoin Spot ETF is an exchange-traded fund that directly holds physical bitcoins. It aims to track the price movements of Bitcoin by owning and storing the actual cryptocurrency itself. And this type of ETF allows investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin without having to directly purchase and store the digital asset themselves. And the value of the ETF is directly tied to the price of the Bitcoin in the spot market. Now it's going to be really interesting to see, guys, how the SEC reacts to BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF proposal. And I'm pretty much sure, guys, because of this news, the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will definitely bump up to the moon. Now, guys, let's discuss some news from one of the banking giants, that is JP Morgan, and they have decided to start Euro blockchain payments for corporates. And mind you, guys, what they're doing is nothing to do with blockchain technology, although what they're using is a JP coin. So let me briefly run through what the news is all about. So JP Morgan's JP coin transactions was conducted by Siemens AG, that is a large German-based entity, in a euro-dominated payment on JP Morgan's permission blockchain. Now it's important to note, guys, that the JPMC coin, because it is working on a permission blockchain, is only made available to its institutional clients and for only settling payments. And this, guys, was the first euro-dominated JPMC coin transactions. And one thing to remember, guys, that this is not a new project, because the project is now 4 years old, and transactions made using JPMC coin adds up to about $300 billion. And according to JP Morgan, guys, it processes about $9.8 trillion in daily payments. Now look at JP Morgan's daily payment transactions, guys, and if you were to compare it, let's say, with the cryptocurrency world, the difference is absolutely humongous. Now what I'm noticing, guys, while LinkedIn is that people are praising blockchain technology. They truly don't understand the difference between open blockchain and permission blockchain. So listen, guys, there is nothing called as permission blockchain. The other word for that is a software. Now what I really recommend you to do is, guys, go to YouTube, and Andreas Antonopoulos, one of the greatest educators in Bitcoin and blockchain technology, did actually put up a video almost 5 years ago that explains the pillars of open blockchain. Now he does mention only 5 things in that, and later on he has also added another criteria. So what I'll do is I'll very briefly run through what these 5 criteria for open blockchain is, and I'll go ahead and compare it, let's say, with JP Morgan coin. Now the first point is open source. When you talk about open blockchain, the source code needs to be completely open. In case of JP Morgan coin or JP coin, the source code is definitely not open. The second one is permissionless. When you're using open blockchain, guys, you do not need any prior permission. In case of JP coin, it is only meant for institutional investors, so you definitely do require prior permission in order to go ahead and use it. The third one is censorship resistant, and JP coin, guys, can be easily censored because the transactions are done within a permission system, and there are centralized entities that can easily go ahead and censor your transactions. And this, to be honest, guys, is why Bitcoin was created. One of the biggest inventions of Satoshi Nakamoto was he solved the double spending problem. And one thing which I often say in my Crypto and Coffee a Day podcast is, the very second line of Bitcoin white paper reads, the main benefits are lost if a central intermediary or an entity is required to prevent double spending. So in case of permission blockchain or in case of JPMC coin, a centralized entity can censor your transactions and can do double entry as well. The fourth one, guys, is neutral. Now what that means is doing transactions, let's say, using Bitcoin is exactly the same in Afghanistan, in China, or in other part of the countries. But in case of JP coin, guys, this is the very first time they're doing transactions in Europe in its history of 4 years. So that gives you an understanding of what neutrality is. And the next point, that is borderless, is also kind of linked to that. So when you talk about Bitcoin open blockchain, the transactions can be done in any part of the world. But because JPMC coin is an institutional or permission blockchain, transactions are restricted only within a specific area. And the final point, guys, with Andreas Antonopoulos added later on, so far as open blockchain is concerned, is publicly verifiable. One thing to remember, guys, that all transactions done on Bitcoin and open blockchain is publicly verifiable by absolutely anyone in the world to see. But the fact that JPMC coin is only catered to institutional clients, it just means that not everyone can verify transactions, and there are a central intermediary or entity that can actually verify these transactions. And guys, listen, if you were to compare open blockchain with permission blockchain of JPMC coin, out of these 6 criteria, it is not meeting absolutely any one of them. So when I'm seeing LinkedIn posts praising JP Morgan coin stating that they are finally adopting blockchain technology, the answer to that is no, they are not adopting blockchain technology. What they're just adopting is a software. Now guys, let's discuss some news regarding artificial intelligence, and this news is all the way from South Korea. And Yahoo Finance has reported that amid the explosion growth of the artificial intelligence industry, South Korea mobile giant KT, formerly known as Korean Technology, has asserted its position as a frontrunner in the sector, and they have announced a plan to invest $5.3 billion, which I believe is $7 trillion worth of won, in artificial intelligence service research and development over the next 5 years. So definitely promising stuff. Now look guys, ever since the last quarter of 2022, ChatGPT has definitely taken the world by storm, and I'm seeing quite a lot of news regarding artificial intelligence, and to be honest, since 2023, the news regarding metaverse has completely died down. So what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to start another series called as the Artificial Intelligence Frontier, and I'm going to be looking at news surrounding artificial intelligence and covering stories from startups and founders from the Middle East region. Now guys, let's discuss two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. Now the first news is regarding Dubai's Wara, and they have published clarification and further information on the fee. So let me break down this news for you, because the Dubai's Wara, that is Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, announced a fee schedule for various services, and proprietary traders in Dubai need a no objection certificate, also called as NOC, from Wara, and the annual fees for NOC is 1,000 dirhams for all proprietary traders, and large proprietary traders do not need to pay an additional fee for mandatory registration, and licensed firms can request amendments to their Wara license. A fee of 500 dirham per request is charged for license updates, and licensed firms seeking to withdraw from Dubai and close their virtual asset operations must pay a withdrawal fee of 10,000 dirhams, and issuers of virtual assets can submit white papers for Wara's review, and there is a white paper submission fee too guys, which is of 5,000 dirham, and after submission a detailed review fee of 5,000 dirhams is charged, and the maximum payable amount for white paper submission and review is 55,000 dirhams, and amendments to white paper also requires fees. There is a submission fee of 5,000 dirhams for amendments, and a detailed review fee of 50,000 dirhams is charged for amendment review, and the maximum payable amount for amendment submissions and review is 55,000 dirham, and legal opinions or memorandums regarding the regulatory parameter may be submitted for Wara's review, and a legal review fee of up to 4,000 dirhams may be charged for providing a written confirmation, and the regulations regarding proprietary trading and fees can be found in Virtual Assets and Regulatory Activities Regulations 2023. Now listen guys, what I'd really recommend you to do is go to the Wara's website, or if you're listening to this podcast, the link is in the show notes below. So look guys, if you're someone who's offering these services, make sure that you're updated with the latest news and information. Now the second news guys is all the way from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority, also called as SDAIA, is harnessing artificial intelligence systems to facilitate pilgrims entering procedures into Saudi Arabia to perform the Hajj. So let me break down this news, because this guys is an absolutely brilliant use case of artificial intelligence, and the SDAIA used artificial intelligence system to facilitate entering procedures of Hajj pilgrims into Saudi Arabia, and integrated projects were implemented with government agencies to ensure comfort and safety for pilgrims from around the world, and this effort reflects the care and support of King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman towards serving pilgrims, and SDAIA aims to provide advanced technologies to benefit from and serve pilgrims, and SDAIA intensifies efforts during the Hajj season to achieve digital empowerment for government agencies. It provides technical support for pilgrims, travel procedures through the Makkah Road Initiative, and SDAIA supports pilgrims from their arrival at Saudi Arabia's air, sea and land ports until they reach Makkah. It offers logistical services in holy sites to support the Pilgrim Experience program under Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, and SDAIA provides technical support to ports, sorting sites and security control centers. It ensures pilgrim data is provided before crossing the border, reducing registration time as well, and the SDAIA guys conducts preventive maintenance for data rooms, network devices and workstations during and after Hajj, and data technologies and artificial intelligence are harnessed to serve pilgrims, such as the Banan mobile device for identification and verification, and Banan guys automates crowd identification management and verifies travel and pilgrim records, and the Tawaklana app and Tawaklana services app provides features like reviewing pilgrim cards and holy site permits, and SDAIA services extend beyond Saudi Arabia through the Makkah Road Initiative, involving countries like Morocco, Indonesia, Malaysia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Turkey, and quite a lot of other. And guys, listen, advancements in artificial intelligence and the data technologies can potentially influence the development and adoption of blockchain and cryptocurrency solutions in the future. So my big question to you guys is, what areas do you think blockchain technology can be used when it comes to artificial intelligence, and what role will cryptocurrencies play when, let's say, artificial intelligence replaces current operating systems and the use of advanced technology efforts by HDAIA? But what I'm really liking, guys, particularly since this year in Saudi Arabia, is the use of advanced technological efforts by HDAIA clearly demonstrates the potential of innovative applications and digital transformation with Hajj pilgrimage experience. So definitely useful case. So that's all, guys, on Crypto and Coffee Date from Blockchain DXB. In case if you have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. Check out my website www.blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my other website area2071.com that talks everything about metaverse. And guys, if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now for the next few minutes, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything series where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. So let's kick start with the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's Josh from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. I have a question by Shane who asks, what areas do you think blockchain technology merges with artificial intelligence? Now this, Shane, is such a brilliant question because that is exactly what I asked in this podcast. So definitely brilliant question. Now there are very few areas, Shane, where I truly understand where blockchain technology merges with artificial intelligence. Now there are a lot of people who are writing via LinkedIn that blockchain technology will save us from artificial intelligence. 100% incorrect and fake news. Now there are very limited use case of blockchain technology, Shane. And what I think is the data of artificial intelligence, if it is cryptographically hashed, that can be stored in blockchain technology as long as it is in an open blockchain. That is about all. Beyond that, I definitely do not see any use case of blockchain technology. Another use case of so far as blockchain or so-called Web 3.0 is, let's say if there is a system somewhat similar to ChatGPT. Now right now you have to use your Gmail or an email in order to log into ChatGPT, but let's say rather than using a Gmail or an email, what you can do is you can use, let's say, your Ethereum address, or you can use a private key or public key in order to log into ChatGPT. That is another use case where blockchain technology, mostly to do with cryptography, kicks in, and that, to be honest, is also a use case. But other than that, Shane, I definitely do not see any use case of where blockchain technology merges with artificial intelligence. And to be honest, Shane, it might be better for artificial intelligence to work under a centralized protocol. Let's say, for instance, if Apple does actually release a new software or a centralized protocol that mentions that we are going to make sure that all of your data is 100% private, and if you were to compare that, let's say, to the user experience of what Ethereum is going to offer, what do you think is the world going to accept? Now, personally, I would still want to use the Web 3.0 style or the Ethereum style, but if you look at the general mass, I'm pretty much sure people, and mostly the software developers, would also want to use what Apple is inventing, and that's one of the dangers of blockchain technology, because the community gets to decide the future and direction, and that, to be honest, might be a strength or it could be a negative aspect as well. Now, the reason why I'm saying it is a strength is because in order for a hacker to hack the system, they would have to hack the entire ecosystem. But the drawback is, let's say if the hack happened, the entire information regarding artificial intelligence is completely gone. But in case of a centralized entity, let's say Microsoft or Apple or even Facebook, there can be legal consequences. You can maybe even get some reimbursements and maybe even get to identify who the hacker is. And these are some of the dangers of blockchain technology. But to answer your question, Shane, I do feel that there are very limited use cases where blockchain technology or cryptocurrencies also merges with artificial intelligence. I'm trying to think of an area where cryptocurrency actually merges with artificial intelligence. Maybe what you can do is, let's say you have a protocol, let's say similar to ChatGPT or AutoGPT, you can maybe incentivize users to get paid in cryptocurrencies such as Worldcoin or something similar to that. That could be a good idea. So let's say if a user uses ChatGPT and because of usage, if he does provide some value-added services to the ChatGPT ecosystem, he is rewarded, let's say, for giving feedback or making suggestions or even creating something unique. is incentivizing cryptocurrencies as opposed to, let's say, fiat currencies. Those are my relative thoughts. So that's all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series from Blockchain DXP. In case if you guys have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxp.com. Check out my website www.blockchaindxp.com, and also check out my other website area2071.com that talks everything about metaverse. And if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. And of the series of episodes on Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.